On today's episode of Locked On Oilers, is there a trade in place already for Puljujarvi? We will talk about that and much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers.
You're Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Oilers podcast. I'm your host and former Oilers game day producer, Brett Holden. As mentioned on today's episode, we're going to talk about whether or not there's a trade in place for Puljujarvi for when Kailer Yamamoto returns to the lineup, as there's going to have to be some space made for the return of Kailer Yamamoto that seems to be imminent on Sunday off the LTIR. That'll be coming up on our second period of today's episode. But also on today's episode, we're going to preview the 4-game road trip for the Edmonton Oilers through the East Coast, basically through Detroit, Philadelphia, Montreal, and Ottawa. Pretty interesting matchups for the Oilers, but what do the Oilers need to do to win those games? We will talk about that, and to wrap up, the Bakersfield Condors report, and one name for the Condors keeps popping up, and Edmonton Oilers fans should be excited about the current resurgence almost of Raphael Lavoie. We will talk about that and much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers. Thank you for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you find your podcast. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And where we are going to get started is with the Edmonton Oilers 4-game road trip through the East. The Edmonton Oilers go through Detroit, Philadelphia, Ottawa, and then Montreal. I mentioned it in the opposite way, but I was just mentioning the teams that they're playing, not the games that they play. But over the next 4 games, very, very interesting. I know I've said that word a lot already throughout this episode, and I have a feeling it's not going to be the last time. But Detroit, Philadelphia, Montreal, and Ottawa have all had very different stories throughout the season. Detroit starting off the year weirdly strong. Ville Husso, who we will talk about a little bit more in depth in just a second, started off as one of the hottest goalies in the NHL. Hasn't been so much over the last couple of weeks, and that has shown in the Detroit Red Wings play just in general. We'll talk about the Red Wings more in just a bit. Philadelphia Flyers have gone from one of the worst teams in hockey to being a pretty, again, interesting story in the NHL, as John Tortorella has kind of turned the culture around in that dressing room, which is exactly what he was brought in to do, and he's done a very good job of it so far. And recently, the Flyers have looked not too bad. We'll talk about them as well a little later on. The Montreal Canadiens, they have gone from, it looked like a very promising start of the year, maybe we can say that, to anything but. Numerous injuries, numerous surgeries as well. They are not looking good. Potentially a space for the Oilers to steal 2 points. And the Ottawa Senators, I know I messed those teams up in order again, but the Ottawa Senators as well had a lot of hope coming into the season, and now a team kind of on the brink. A little bit of here, a little bit of there. But a very interesting, again, story in Ottawa, especially going into the trade deadline. Will they be buyers? Will they be sellers? I'll talk about their plan when we get to the Senators. But let's start off with the Detroit Red Wings, as the Edmonton Oilers start off the unofficial second half of the season, as the All-Star break is through, and the Edmonton Oilers head to Detroit for a 5:30 puck drop in Detroit, in Michigan. And the Oilers are already down there. They did take the trip earlier today, I do believe. Matthias Janmark did not practice with the team, did meet the team later on Monday night. in Detroit, a personal matter that he did have to deal with, but again, is with the team down in Detroit now. Now, the Detroit Red Wings, as mentioned, started off the season pretty decently, had a strong start with the guys that they acquired, David Perron, Andrew Kopp, guys like that. Unfortunately, Tyler Bertuzzi got injured for them. Now they have gone 21, 19, and 8 on the season. 5-4-1 over the last 10. And as mentioned, Ville Husso was at the start of the season the hottest goalie in the league, and a lot of people going, "Oh wow, maybe that should have been the goalie that insert team here took a pick from in the summer of goaltenders," it seemed like. Since then, Ville Husso still has a pretty favorable record, 17-11-5, but his numbers even 3 in goals against average and a .901 save percentage for a goaltender who had the best save percentage amongst all goaltenders in the league at a point. Not fantastic, especially considering Stuart Skinner has a better save percentage. Not saying anything on Skinner, but maybe, the Edmonton Oilers haven't exactly gotten the best goaltending. But Ville Husso has been confirmed as the starter for the game tomorrow. We'll see how he plays against the Oilers. Now, the Detroit Red Wings have had a little bit of drama with their captain as well, Dylan Larkin. It seems like there may be a bit of a standoff, at least from an outsider's perspective, on what's going on. Maybe not sure really what's going on with the Dylan Larkin situation, but I saw the viral clip with him and Bissonnette. I've seen a lot of other potential comments from Larkin, so the Edmonton Oilers might be catching a team, maybe not necessarily in shambles when you look at their record, but maybe just internally, especially, again, 5-4-1, basically 500 over the last 10 games, so that's not horrendous, but the Edmonton Oilers, especially with their current form, yes, they're coming back from an all-star break, but still, the Edmonton Oilers could take advantage of this team here. Now, Dominic Kubalik, who is also a very big addition to the Detroit Red Wings this summer, has also had a very good year. 48 games played, 14 goals, 20 assists, 34 points. He is second on the team in points as well. Now, their power play sits 21st in the league. Not very good, sitting at a 20.1%. I think the Edmonton Oilers may be able to take advantage of, again, I don't want to say lowly because they do sit, 7th in the Atlantic, which isn't fantastic. They are above 500 in the record with 21-19. Yes, they have 8 overtime losses as well, but that's a big game for the Edmonton Oilers to get their legs back underneath them, especially heading into a very, very difficult Philadelphia Flyers team. Now, the Flyers have had a little bit of a run recently, 5-3-2 over the last 5 games, or last 10 games, getting points in 7 of the last 10. Now, they are 21-21-9 on the season, but as mentioned, they're a team that are starting to come up over the last couple of weeks. John Tortorella is finding a personality to this team, and they have become a team that is very difficult to play against. However, 16% on the power play, not fantastic. And Carter Hart, who did come back from an injury relatively recently, as well as they had a horrendous goaltending situation going for a little while there. But they are currently sitting 7th in the Metropolitan Division. Travis Konechny sitting on top of their points for the Philadelphia Flyers. 45 games played, 24 goals, 25 assists, good for 49 points. Now, Kevin Hayes, he got scratched a couple of times so far this year, and not to a lot of Flyers fans' I guess chagrin would maybe be the right way. In 50 games, 15 goals, 30 points, 45 assists. At times was the top point getter for the Flyers. Again, just seems like a Tortorella thing that's just over managing, trying to be a little too in control. But we'll see how things go into Philadelphia. They are a notably more physical team than the Edmonton Oilers. It will be a real test for the Edmonton Oilers and their physicality going into that one. John Tortorella is going to be saying to his team, just saying, hey, go after 97-29. I don't care about anybody else. There's no one else on this team. You know what Tortorella will say. Just go after 97-29. It'll be very interesting to see how they come out of it. Then on Saturday, the Edmonton Oilers are in the nation's capital against the Ottawa Senators. A 10:30 puck drop. Two back-to-back 10:30 puck drop games for the Edmonton Oilers, as they will play 10:30 against Ottawa and then 10:30 against Montreal the following day on Sunday. But first, Ottawa, as mentioned, they did have a promising start to their season, have had a little bit of a dip, had some injury issues as well, but they are sitting sixth in the Atlantic Division. The Senators are currently sitting with a 24-23-3 record so far this year, and pretty solid last 10 games, 6 wins, 4 losses. Now, surprising thing for the Ottawa Senators, they have the second best power play in the NHL right now at a solid 27%. So something to watch out for the Edmonton Oilers. It'll be interesting to see who starts for the Sens, but I'm going to say probably Cam Talbot, as he has had a 12-13-1 season so far. He has come along since his injury at the start of the year. A .290 goals against average and a .905 save percentage there. Of course, Brady Tkachuk leading the way for the Senators in points with Stützle and Claude Giroux, a massive addition for the Sens in the offseason. He is third on the team in points, one behind the German Stützle. And then, as mentioned, the Montreal Canadiens on Sunday, 10:30 a.m., and that is a team in shambles, a team the Edmonton Oilers really need to take advantage of. 27-4 on the year, 4-5-1 over their last 10. Cole Caulfield out for the rest of the year with a shoulder injury. They also, hearing also some rumors potentially that Kirby Dach might have a lingering injury as well, that people are saying, you know what, just who cares, just cut him down for the rest of the year and just let it be done with it, which would suck again obviously for the Montreal Canadiens, as Kirby Dach currently sits third in points on their team, 11 goals, 22 assists, 33 points, but that would also mean their second highest point getter in Cole Caulfield as well is on the LTIR. 46 games played, 26 goals, 10 assists, 36 points for Caulfield. Nick Suzuki, the only active player in their top 3 points. Well, I mean, Kirby Dach as well, but the only healthy, I should say, in their top 3. 16 goals, 24 assists, 40 points for Suzuki. So we shall see. Genuinely, the reason why I bring this up is I think these are 8 points the Edmonton Oilers can get. I think they can go, knock on wood, wherever you may be, full 4-0 on this road trip. And if the Edmonton Oilers do go 4-0 with 8 points on the break, or on the what's it called? Road trip is the word I'm looking for. There's a very strong chance the Edmonton Oilers could end up not only in the top 3 of the Pacific Division, maybe even a top, if not second, in the Pacific Division. The Pacific Division is that close. So we shall see. As mentioned, the Detroit Red Wings 5:30 puck drop. I want to say the Joe Louis Arena, but it's not. It's the Little Caesars Arena, or whatever it is now. That puck drop, 5:30, as mentioned, that is tomorrow. Then on Thursday, the Edmonton Oilers are in Philadelphia, 5 o'clock puck drop in Philly. And then over the weekend in the nation's capital, 10:30 morning puck drop in the nation's capital against Ottawa, and then 10:30 again the following morning against the Montreal Canadiens. I don't want to say a favorable schedule, but easier than in the past. Either way, let's move on to Jesse Puljujarvi, as Jesse Puljujarvi may be, or is most likely going to be, the guy who is going to be sent out with Kailer Yamamoto making his return on that Montreal game. At least he is slated to. So what will that look like, and what will the return of Kailer Yamamoto look like as well for the Edmonton Oilers? We will talk about that in just a second, but first, today's episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens. Our next partner has a product I use literally every day. I started using AG1 because I wanted to better my gut health and optimize my immune system, and I wanted to do that without taking so many pills. And that is exactly what I get with AG1. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all of the things. All while being lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it is all good for you. Plus, it contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, all while still tasting great. Plus, it costs less than $3 a day. You are investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. I look over here as my coffee is getting pretty chilly. Either way, Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews and is recommended by professional athletes. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That is it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens will give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Alrighty, moving on to Jesse Puljujarvi, the Bison King, and what is probably, and it kind of hurts me to say and kind of come to this realization, is Jesse Puljujarvi's final week as an Edmonton Oiler. I wanted Jesse Puljujarvi since he was 16 years old, watching him play at the World Juniors and Karpat with in Finland, and now you see Jesse Puljujarvi play probably his last week with the Edmonton Oilers after the Oilers selected him 4th overall in 2016, and it's been a tumultuous time. But why does it seem like this is certainly going to be his final week? Well, Kailer Yamamoto will be activated, at least it seems like, if all signs lead to Dakota. I don't know, that's supposed to be a joke. Wasn't very funny. Either way, if Kailer Yamamoto was to be activated, as it's all signs seem to lead to be, the Edmonton Oilers will need to clear about $3 million in cap space for him to come back onto the team. The obvious clearance would have to be Jesse Puljujarvi. Now there are other options for the Edmonton Oilers. Can they maybe trade Warren Foegele? In theory, yes, but he has been more useful to the Edmonton Oilers so far this year. He has better chemistry with a lot of players on the team, like Ryan McLeod, Evan Bouchard, Kailer Yamamoto. He has Dylan Holloway as well. He has a lot of friends on the team, which helps. Not necessarily keep your job, but it helps you on the ice. It means you have good chemistry with the players you play with, and that makes for a better room environment makes for better chemistry. It's more favorable for a player. So I don't think Foegele will get traded. Then another option would be for the Edmonton Oilers to either trade or waive one of Derek Ryan or Matthias Janmark. Plus, then also either trading or waiving Devon Shore. Now, Derek Ryan has had a very solid season. You know what? I think he's a very underrated player. And as of recently, he's been playing with Leon Draisaitl more and more often. By the way, this very good article by, I believe it was Daniel Nugent-Bowman, on just the specifics on what will happen to Kyler Yamamoto. These are some of the options for the Oilers with Yamamoto coming back from that article, but I will tell you why Puljujarvi should be on the way out, in my own opinion. But these are some of the points that he brought up as well. But let's get back to Ryan, Janmark, and Shore. As mentioned, Ryan has been playing very well, especially with Leon Draisaitl. At times, Matthias Janmark, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Klim Kostin has been the Edmonton Oilers' best line on the team, so you can't take him down. Shore just came back from a conditioning stint down in Bakersfield, so I don't see him going, but he very well could be a part of this. Now, why could he be a part of this? So, let's just get this out of the way. The Edmonton Oilers aren't going to waive Jesse Puljujarvi. They're just not. You have to believe or trust the fact that somebody may pick up Jesse Puljujarvi for $3 million off the waiver wire, which isn't going to happen. But then if the Edmonton Oilers were to waive him, he goes unclaimed, then the Edmonton Oilers would then have to send him down, obviously. Then meaning that you can only bury $1.125 million in the AHL this season. That would mean the Edmonton Oilers would need to clear a remaining $1.825 million in order to still activate Kyler Yamamoto. That would mean probably sending down a Devon Shore, make a move somewhere else as well. That is not going to be the easiest route. This is why I think, and it seems to be a little bit of the rumor going around, that there might already be a trade in place for Kyler Yamamoto. Now, why is trading Puljujarvi the top priority? First, the Edmonton Oilers would be able to take on, in a trade, an extra $1.225 million from a player. So you could get a player that is worth $1.225 million or less in a trade for Jesse Puljujarvi. So, the Edmonton Oilers, if you were to waive Jesse Puljujarvi, wouldn't be losing him for free, basically. And you're not losing a Foegele, a Ryan, a Shore, or Janmark. You're essentially returning a player. Now, the Edmonton Oilers don't want just a move of a player for a player just so you can say you won a trade for Jesse Puljujarvi. They would want a player who's going to come in and help the Edmonton Oilers right away. And that is why I think the Edmonton Oilers may have a trade in place with the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, this is let's put the tin hat on here. I think it's with the Chicago Blackhawks and for Sam Lafferty. Sam Lafferty has a $1.15 million cap hit until 2023-2024, so next season. The Edmonton Oilers would be adding a player that they have had their eye on for a while and that the Edmonton Oilers have been kind of linked to all season as well. Plus, Jesse Puljujarvi is also an RFA. This is more going into why Puljujarvi will get traded, not into to Chicago. Puljujarvi is an RFA at the end of the season. Teams are less likely to try and qualify him. Now, if he were to go to a place like Chicago, where, let's be real, they just want anybody and anybody to play on their team next year, he might be a little bit more attractive for a team like that. Then the following year, he becomes a UFA. So this would basically be a show me what you got deal. Show us one last time you can play in the NHL. Then you're either going back to Finland or another team picks you up. That is why I think Jesse Puljujarvi already has, or the Edmonton Oilers already have a deal in place for Jesse Puljujarvi, and I think the Edmonton Oilers on Sunday, or no, maybe even Saturday, they might do this deal on Saturday, so then they can become cap compliant on that day, and then bring Kyler Yamamoto into the lineup. But I think the Edmonton Oilers have a deal in place with the Chicago Blackhawks to send Jesse Puljujarvi or Sam Lafferty. What do you think? What do you think the Oilers will do when Kyler Yamamoto comes back? What do you think the Oilers will do with Jesse Puljujarvi? Yeah, either way, what do you think? Let's wrap up today's episode with a little Bakersfield Condors talk and a little bit of prospect talk along with it, as one of the Edmonton Oilers' more interesting prospects has had a fantastic couple of weeks. Now, why has that been, and who really saw this coming? We will talk about that in just a second. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they are the #1 sports book in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that is even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel today and you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on anything from the money line to point spreads to who will score the next touchdown. Now, speaking of touchdowns, that probably goes along with who's going to win the MVP for the Super Bowl. And I was taking a look at the Super Bowl MVP odds, and there's an obvious favorite. It's Patrick Mahomes, plus 130 favorite for the Super Bowl MVP. However, Jalen Hurts does have tied odds or even odds with Patrick Mahomes at plus 130. There's got to be a quarterback bias. However, A.J. Brown sitting at a plus 1,800 for Super Bowl MVP, and Miles Sanders plus 2,500. I don't know, that may be an easier bet than you're taking a look at. Plus Devontae Smith, plus 3,100. Now, the four of those players are Eagles. Where are all the Chiefs players? Kelsey's at plus 1,600. I mean, I think we all know the favorites right now are actually the Eagles at minus 122 on the money line. So, I don't know. What do you think is going to happen with the Super Bowl? The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Alrighty, let's wrap up today's episode with the Bakersfield Condors report. And the Bakersfield Condors going into the All-Star break, as the All-Star Challenge at the AHL is going on as we speak. So they are currently still on their All-Star break. But going into the All-Star break, the Bakersfield Condors were on an absolute tear. 4 wins and 1 loss in their last 5 games going into the break, and it was a very, very monstrous and convincing 5 games for the Condors here. Kind of maybe not necessarily turning their season around, but maybe a turning point to watch for these Condors. This 5-game streak got started against the San Diego Gulls as the Bakersfield Condors won 4-3 in San Diego on January 27th. Calvin Pickard getting the win, 25 saves on 28 shots there. Now, Raphael Lavoie, he will be a name that we will talk about a lot. He got the scoring started for the Condors in San Diego. Devin Shore getting getting his second assist on the year on that one. And then Yanni Caldas getting his fourth goal of the year, in that game. Raphael Lavoie also getting an assist on that one, with Ty Tullio, another name to watch out for in Bakersfield, as he's been on a little bit of a tear as well for the Condors. Coach Chalk also giving him some praise on Oilers Now today. His 8th assist in that one against the San Diego Gulls. And Greg McKegg, remember that guy? 2 goals, his second goal of the year against the Gulls. Jason Demers with his 13th assist on the year on that one. And Max Gilden, another name you'll hear a lot in this report, 6th assist. Now, remember that was his 6th assist against San Diego on January 27th. And then Tyler Benson, believe it or not, his first goal of the season against the San Diego Gulls. Raphael Lavoie getting his 10th assist, and Marcus Niemelainen with his 3rd assist on the year as well in that game. Now, as mentioned, the Bakersfield Condors would go on to win 4-3 in that one, and keeping the ball rolling against San Jose. Another 5-4 victory, another 1-goal game, I should say, for them. 5-4 victory against San Jose the following day on January 28th. Or I should say Olivier Rodrigue got the game before. He was 25 saves on 28 shots. Calvin Pickard played against San Jose. Sorry for the mix-up there. Pickard got the game against San Jose. He stopped 32 of 36, a very solid game for him. And it was the usual suspects for the Condors to get the scoring started. Seth Griffith, 11th goal of the year. He is currently playing at that All-Star Challenge. Ty Tullio with his 9th assist. And Jason Demers, number 14 on the year for him. He has had a very solid season down in the AHL. Wouldn't be surprised if he got an NHL contract next year. Then Dino Cambites from Devonshore. Devonshore's 3rd assist on the year down in Bakersfield. His 3rd assist in that conditioning stint for him. Greg McKegg also getting his 3rd goal of the season. A little bit of a roll you're seeing from these players. Now, I mentioned you need to remember this name, Max Gilden, his 7th assist on the year on the McKegg goal, and Tyler Benson's 8th assist as well. Devonshore also getting in on the scoring, and Raphael Lavoie would wrap up the game. He would get the game winner, his 10th of the year. Noah Philp getting the assist. Now you're starting to hear names like Raphael Lavoie, Seth Griffith, Max Gilden, a little bit more, Ty Tullio. That's going to keep going. 7-3 win against Tucson on January 31st. And again, all of those names are involved in this one. Tyler Benson with the 2nd goal of the year. Xavier Bourgault also getting in the score sheet on this one, 10th goal of the year. And Raphael Lavoie, 7th goal of the game, his 11th of the season. Greg McKegg getting a couple of points in this one. He also got his 7th assist. Xavier Bourgault also checking in with an assist on this one as well. Calvin Pickard, 32 saves on 35 shots. Their 3rd straight win. Big time. By the way, also wanted to mention Justin Bailey getting on the score sheet a couple of times, a goal and an assist, his 6th goal, his 8th assist. Very interesting story for him as well. And then Max Gilden also getting on the score sheet, his 1st goal of the year. And again, we will hear his name as well again, as they went into Calgary the following night on February 2nd, and they got a big 5-1 win against the Wranglers. Justin Bailey, Raphael Lavoie, Greg McKegg, and Noah Philp, all the goal scorers on the game. Justin Bailey getting 2 in that one. Now, I mentioned you need to listen to Max Gilden's name. 10th assist of the season. Now, remember, at the start of this report, he had 6 assists. 10 by the end of this report. Very, very, very impressive. 2 assists against the Wranglers there. Calvin Pickard, another 32 saves on 33 shots. However, the following night, the Magic would run out a 2-1 loss to Calgary. Dino Cambites getting the only goal for the Condors in that one, his 5th of the season. By the way, the game against the Calgary Wranglers, the win that they got, 4 of the goals in the third period, and that was basically all the magic they could conjure in Calgary. Calvin Pickard, 34 saves on 36 shots there. Now, Alex Peters did get into a fight with Adam Klapka down in Calgary as well. That was a pretty spirited tilt in Calgary. That happened in the third period. Maybe something to spark up the boys, but that's good to see. Now, the Bakersfield Condors this year are 18-22, 2 losses in overtime and 1 in the shootout. Now, they are currently sitting 7th in the Pacific Division, which would be a playoff spot, as the AHL has weird playoffs. Basically, 1-7 makes it, 1 gets a bye, then everybody else plays and you move on, whatever. Very interesting, I guess, what system for the AHL, but hey, whatever works. But as mentioned, Raphael Lavoie has been named to kind of, I don't even know the word. Just just swoon over. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. Since returning from injury for Raphael Lavoie, 18 games played, 10 goals, 10 assists, 20 points in 18 games. Now, he has been a player that I have kind of been on for a while because I wasn't sure how his game from major junior would translate into the pros, and so far, especially over the last 18 games, he has really proved me wrong. In fact, to the point where he is now second on the Bakersfield Condors in points with 23. He leads the Condors in goals with 12. He is tied with the lead with Michael Kesselring, jumping over Seth Griffith and Xavier Bourgault. Griffith has 11 and Bourgault has 10. Then Ty Tullio and 3 others have 8 goals on the year. Seth Griffith is the leader in assists for the Bakersfield Condors, 23 assists, and then it just goes down a hill. 15 assists for Malone, 15 for Demers, 14 for Esposito, 11 for Lavoie, and 11 for Bourgault. And then Seth Griffith does lead the Condors in points, 34 points for Griffith, 23 as mentioned for Lavoie, 21 for Bourgault. So the Oilers prospects are rolling so much that Michael Kesselring is 4th with 19 and Ty Tullio with 18. Very good development numbers for the Edmonton Oilers from those players. We shall see how their season wraps up. Just like we are going to wrap up here on today's episode, as the Edmonton Oilers face off against the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit. That one's going to be exciting. We will have a full review of the game. We will be on after the game in Detroit. That is going to be an exciting one. But until then, hopefully you will be celebrating and playing La Bamba, baby.